Here again.
Volume's off.
Okay, everybody welcome to the Serrano Development Group concept project of the redevelopment block. This is our second meeting, and this is my husband. On that piece, we're very privileged to have Jason Tolson, who is the principal of the Serrano Development Group, with us today to bring us up to date. We had a meeting last fall.
Yeah.
I don't remember when, September, October?
Last year,
yeah. And that was the first go round. They got a lot of valuable input from the community, and they've been working with various organizations, the city, to refine their projects. So at this point in time, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Jason.
Thanks, Sue. Thank you for having us. Thank you. We're excited to be here once again and to bring you all up to speed on what we've been working hard to accomplish over the last several months since we last presented here. The purpose of the presentation today is really to show you all the work that we've done, integrating feedback from the various stakeholders in the community to make this project really as good as it can be and look as good as it can be and fit in as well as it can fit in to the wonderful community that's already in place. And so what I'm going to do today is walk you through some of the concept plans we've come up with and give you kind of a high-level orientation to where we are in the process. As probably most of you know, we have a city council meeting coming up on February 6th where these matters are all going to be voted on. What I'm not going to do today is get into the weeds of the details of the deal, but I will be talking about the timing of the concept. I would encourage all of you to come to the council meeting on the 6th. Listen, there'll be a very detailed presentation on all of those points, and you'll have an opportunity to comment and ask questions at that time. So with that,
Jay, it's February 9th.
Oh, February 9th, I'm sorry. That's an important distinction. Thank you for correcting that. We're a room full of people. February 9th. Okay, so I'm going to start off just orienting you with the site plan. This is similar to what you saw last time, but quite a bit more refined. So starting off Main Street, we have three projects here really. A mixed-use project oriented towards Main Street, the Laemmle Theater on the corner of Lyons and Railroad, and then a city parking structure on the southeast corner of the site. 400-car structure is currently conceived. Central Public Plaza, Laemmle's Theater will be oriented towards the public plaza. There will be a small amount of retail within the Laemmle Theater project, about a couple thousand square feet. There'll be about 20,000 feet of retail between retail A and B here. Some of it oriented towards Main Street, pretty much the entire frontage, and this piece on Lyons. And then in the courtyard, there will be pieces that are oriented to the courtyard. So the idea is that we maximize the synergies between the theater traffic and the retail. So pulling pedestrian traffic off the street through these thoroughfares or walkways. The theater entry will be oriented right here. Laemmle estimates roughly 200,000 patrons a year. It's going to be a 7-screen theater with roughly 450 seats. On top of the retail, there will be 46 apartment units, a mixture of 1s and 2 bedrooms, and a couple of threes, a few threes. This project will have its own parking underground, so will not be consuming any of the capacity of the public structure. The public structure is really for the purposes of supporting the needed parking within the district. So this is kind of the high-level plan. Let me drill in here a little bit. We went to, I think, great lengths to try to pull elements, architectural elements throughout the community and other communities that we were given guidance that either city staff or important stakeholders wanted to consider in the architectural style. So what you see here is the elevation along Main Street, and this is the northern side of the site. The library is right up here, and the idea is we kind of terrace down and articulate both vertically and horizontally to scale the building down as it gets closer to the existing structures on the south side here. So this is going to be 4 stories. This will be 5. and the building will step back as well as we move to the south. You see a kind of a changing architectural style, so it's almost meant to look like, they call it a commercial Old Town hybrid architectural style. So it looks like there are different buildings in what really is one structure, and the purpose of that is to kind of make it feel like this is an organic block that has grown over time in this sort of variation in the architectural style. So you can see some of the historical elements that are pulled from in some of this precedent imagery. Ground floor is entirely retail, so there'll be all of these tenants oriented towards Main Street. This is the entrance to the courtyard. It's also contemplated that the courtyard will be used in conjunction with the city or other nonprofit or even other agencies to coordinate events. So it could be, the start of a 5K registration might be in that courtyard, and then a race through Old Town, things of that nature. And so we're working on arrangements with the city to kind of formalize that, so we have a process and a program in place that will allow for that. So then as you move, this kind of gives you all four sides at once here, so you can kind of see what's happening. So this is the elevation you just saw. This is the elevation as it kind of wraps the corner onto Lions, and so you can see the theater sitting here. This white box in the background is the massing for the parking structure. So that's several hundred feet back, but just to kind of show the scale. Another pedestrian thoroughfare here. Laemmle is intending to have glass and cafe, internal cafe uses along this northern elevation. So when you drive by, you see lots of activity, and it makes you want to kind of see what's going on there. And then as you go to the wrapping around onto the, we'll go to Railroad here first. This is the back side of the theater. It's a two-story theater. They're going to have 2 auditoriums downstairs and 5 up. They range in size from 100 to 50, or 125 to 50 seats, and that's they recently increased the theater screen count from 6 to 7, so it gives them more flexibility in the different types of film that they show, and it actually it's more oriented towards the smaller independent films, because if they have fewer smaller auditoriums, it's more conducive to that type of movie. This is the current concept for the city parking structure. The idea was to make it look more like a building than a parking garage. You don't see tires and lights as you drive by, and so we worked through multiple iterations of this with city staff, and this is going to be this is integrated into our plan for continuity here. But the city is going to be taking this out to a public bid coming here in the future. So this is not part of what we're doing, but I've got it on the plan so everybody can see how it fits in. Here's some renderings, and Jason, feel free to jump in on the garage if you like, if I'm leaving anything out. This is a rendering of the last version of what we think it's going to look like, or something similar to that. So you can see bicycle repair / storage here, a couple of entrances off of 9th and Railroad, single level subterranean and 4.5 levels above grade. All within the design parameters of the specific plan, so it's fully compliant as far as that goes. This is some imagery and renderings of what the courtyard might look like. So these are kind of precedent imagery, other projects that our architects felt were good examples of what we want this to be. This is the actual renderings of the courtyard itself, so you kind of get a feel for the idea is that this is a gathering place within Old Town Newhall. It's kind of a jumping off point for the district, so you can park, you can see a movie, but it's also a place to start your afternoon or your evening in the district and visit all the other wonderful things to do here. And then lastly, this is a current concept for the theater. So on the ground floor, We've got a couple 1,000-foot retail space here, 2 large auditoriums. This is the lobby. This is the courtyard out here. So this is oriented towards the courtyard. This is Lions and this is Railroad. The other thing that's kind of interesting that's new from last time is in addition to the 5 auditoriums that we've been able to carve out upstairs, there's going to be an outdoor event space on the 2nd floor of the theater, which Laemmle will use kind of like we're intending to use the courtyard and make it really an amenity for the community. Those arrangements we've made with Laemmle, but about 2 to 2,500 square feet, pretty large event space there. Looking down into the courtyard would be really neat. So that's it. We're very excited to be almost to the end of the first round of this process, and we've tried hard, I think, to solicit input from everybody in the community and incorporate that input whenever feasible and possible into our plan here. And I really think this is going to be a game changer down here. So we're excited to be long-term stakeholders. We're planning to keep these projects long-term. So we're going to be neighbors for a long time. So with that, I guess I will open it up to questions.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions? Who wants to go first? Greta.
What's the dimensions of the outside courtyard?
It's roughly 125 by 125, something like that. Let me pull it up here.
Feet or yards?
Feet.
Yeah.
Hey, I found it clear.
Thank you.
So yeah, so it's this is about 125. This is about 60. This is probably about 100, something like that. So pretty large gathering space.
And that'll be open to all.
Yeah, it's just going to be open, so
But
anybody
it could be
can-
rented
Yes,
for
yeah.
presentations,
Events,
parties,
parties.
events.
How big is the second story one on top of the theater?
It's about 2,000, 2,500 square feet. We're still kind of massaging the exact dimensions, but it'd be about that big. That's so from here, it sits right up here and basically looks down into the courtyard. There'll be an exterior
It's
stairwell.
like 20 by 100 or something, right?
It'd be more like 60 by whatever that is,
Yeah.
30 or 40,
Okay.
something like that, roughly.
Any idea what the rents will be on the apartment buildings and stuff? Are they going to be competitive with the area, or will it be a
Actually,
little higher because it's all brand new?
a little higher, yeah. Number one, we'll need higher rents to make the economics work for new construction, but 2, this will be a lot different than anything that's in the district. So we're kind of pioneering a little bit in terms of achieving rents, but they're rents that are achieved elsewhere in Santa Clarita. So we feel like there's enough demand here. This is going to be cool enough. There's going to be lots of new things and lots of excitement, and I think our forecasts are pretty reasonable. We're in the high $2 square foot or low $2 square foot range, roughly.
Is the thought to be somewhat like the Metro, where they could live upstairs in their store if they wanted to, kind of thing? That 20.
Like the live work kind of deal.
Yeah, because over on Soledad they have it where your store's downstairs and your apartment's upstairs.
We don't have any live work per se where you have your actual store
Right,
underneath.
but
It's gonna be retail on the ground floor and residential above. But it's going to be probably larger format retailers than you've seen at live work. So
Right.
we have suites from 1,500 we could probably go as big as 8,000 or 9,000 in one of the big blocks of the retail if we wanted to get a large restaurant wanted to come in. So we're just beginning that process. You probably know Tim Chrisman. He's helping us find some. Is he sitting in there? Oh, there he is.
No hiding.
So we're just beginning that process.
Well, and as well, we're going to be looking at being able to break down footage-wise as small as 900 if possible.
Okay.
So the idea is to create a nice mix of both size and types of use.
Okay.
So the idea and the unique aspect is the flexibility of the plan for it. So it's going to be pretty
Be
dynamic.
Show that on the site plan here.
retail and restaurant, or?
Yes, it's again I think the restaurant model is pretty well proven on Main Street. So certainly there's going to be a significant amount of interest from restaurants, both We're looking at attracting both national, regional, and locals. We recognize the unique aspects of the community and what the people see is going to dictate more eclectic type retailing and restaurant uses.
Jason?
Sorry, you're next, Alan.
Okay.
Sorry.
I just want to make a comment, if I may. Last night, we had a study session at City Hall relevant to the master plan, the arts master plan for Santa Clarita. A major portion of that report talks about Old Town Newhall, what we're doing down here, because this is considered to be the central energy, if you will, for the arts plan going into the next 10 years. This project, when you read that arts master plan, it's still in draft form, but I'm confident it will be approved by the council. But this project absolutely nails so many of the objectives that are articulated in that master plan. So it's something that I feel very excited about and see all of this coming together, particularly at the same time. So I just want to make that comment. Thank you.
At the perfect time,
Jason?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, at the beginning, I thought I heard you say the parking structure is now sized at 400 spaces,
Roughly,
roughly?
yes.
Is it 400, 350, 300?
Yeah, Jason Crawford, City of Santa Clarita. So,
Parking expert.
yeah, I wouldn't say parking expert, we have other folks for that, but yes, right now, the parking structure is sized at 400 spaces. That's the intent, that it would have no less than 400 parking spaces, be
And-
open to the public.
And, originally, when it was 300 spaces, Stripling gave me a number of $9.5 million for 300 spaces. What would be the number for 400 spaces?
I don't have an exact dollar amount for what the parking structure will cost. We've got some ranges that we're still working out. But it would be public works bid, so we'd get competitive prices on it. Right now, all the numbers that are being negotiated and put together, we expect to have those finalized and then available for council to make a decision and the public to weigh in on in early February.
Is it gonna be below ground and above ground in
No.
that space? So there'll be subterranean?
Yes,
as well as
the idea for the parking
same
structure
footprint?
is there would be one level underground, and then it would go up from there, and we'd be able to fit in 400 parking spaces.
Entrances on Ninth?
There would be, right now, the design is there would be a right turn pocket lane on Railroad into it with an entrance, and an entrance on 9th Street.
Bob, you're up.
Is it free parking?
Hi again. So the answer right now is that the plan has been that it would be free parking. I can't say what could happen in the future, or if there would be requests from the public or from businesses for it to be paid, or what council might decide in the future. But everything I've heard and been told is that it would be envisioned as free public parking. And if this plan basically originated from the Old Town Newhall specific plan, which council adopted over 10 years ago, and in it, it specifically called for a theater to anchor a development for mixed use, so that you have people living here on the street, and for public parking that would be provided by the city as an infrastructure investment in the area. So this plan, when we did an RFP over a year ago to find a developer to hopefully try to find a way to make all these three priorities fit in one area, Serrano has been able to put that together for us.
Gentleman up in the back, just one moment.
We're excited about what you guys are doing. When's the projected start and finish date, and how will that affect traffic for business owners on Main Street?
Good question. I'm sorry I left that out. So right now, we're going to council on the 9th.
February, correct?
February, yes. And so what happens from there is we go through our entitlement process, which is some design review and other things, and then plan check. And so the fastest we could do it would be by the end of this year to start construction, we think. December, end of this year, or January the following. That's purely a function of the processing time. And then once we start, the slowest part of the construction will be the mixed use piece, which is about 18 months to build. The theater and the parking structure, a little bit over a year for those. And So what we will do during the construction process is we'll be meeting with you frequently to make sure that we maintain control of the site from an access standpoint in a way that's safe for pedestrians, but also allows for the normal inflows and outflows of construction activities. And then something, of course, to manage dust control and all the other normal things for construction that are noisy and offensive to existing businesses. We do a lot of infill development, so we're pretty good at managing the staging and the relationship with the adjacent tenants. The people that will be most affected are really just directly across the street on the south side for like the dust and noise that go with construction. In terms of traffic, it's going to be kind of the normal sort of lane closures from time to time when we're doing off-site work. We're going to try to keep as much of that on-site as possible. Because of the sequencing of the work, probably a lot of the parking for the construction workers will be on-site, but we're going to have to get into the details of that as we really lay this thing out. But generally that's how we approach it, is try to have to be as proactive as we can with the community, because it's bad for us too if we're getting complaints all the time that we're negatively influencing surrounding businesses.
But I would remind us all that a little bit of pain is going to be well worth it.
That's true.
24 months from now.
It's not going to be painless,
No.
but it'll be as little as
keep in
possible.
mind, there'll be a site manager that will be on
Yes.
site, so if you have a noise concern or they blocked your driveway or your front, you go to that person
That's right.
and work with them. And then we will be having, when OTNA has its monthly meetings, there will be a representative there, probably the site manager, that can say, hey, this is where we are on the Gantt chart, this is what we discovered, we have all these wonderful bottles or trinkets from the early 1800s when Newhall was in a different, whatever. I mean, no, but they found a lot of artifacts when they were doing the Main Street. I mean, and Brad Theron, am I right?
Yeah.
Had quite a collection if you went by and he was more than willing to share, because back then they just kind of chucked it out there.
There was no landfill.
Yeah, there was no landfill. Yeah, sun and sunshine didn't exist. Yes, Jim.
Another aspect, the construction is not always bad, because considering the number of workers that are going to be here, there's going to be a direct benefit for all the businesses on Main, from restaurants to gift stores as well. When you consider the number of employees that are going to be there, as well as the fact that it's going to attract a lot of look-throughs, because there's going to be a lot of interest from people throughout the valley that might not have ever come down here before, but this exciting new project's happening, that's going to itself create an additional draw. So I think that this is going to be a boon for all users downtown.
Morgan?
Yes.
Thank you.
Someone had told me, maybe this is a City of Santa Clarita question, that there's intent to somehow connect the backside of the Master's College to increase a lot of that college and thousands of college student, foot traffic, no cars, discretionary income, to patronize a lot of these businesses as well. What's the latest on that?
Dock violence?
Jason?
It's something that's being looked at right now. There had been plans, I guess there still are plans to extend Lyons to Dockweiler. Masters College has also had ideas about connecting the backside of the campus up to Old Town Newhall, either through Market or to Lyons. There's a few different concepts that have been talked about. I think there will be a plan to do one of those things in the future. Exactly which one and the timing of it, I couldn't speak to that.
Jason, when the project is completed, who's going to maintain and control the parking structure? One point. The other point, when that's constructed, some of the homeless issue that we have around Main Street in this area, how's that going to be controlled or secured?
The intent is that the parking structure is public, so it's city funded, city built, city owned, city operated. The homeless issue, absolutely an issue that I think we're seeing a lot more of now, and the city's been proactive both on lending a hand and enforcement. But it's an issue that has grown and is growing. We're definitely aware and will be aware of how this could play into that.
Yeah. Just to add to that, I am receiving comments that it has, since we've got the bad weather or winter weather, we are in, they're more prominent out in Veterans Plaza, the park, Main Street. They're really, Deputy Shackelford has her hands full. She's if you don't know, Deputy Shackelford is we are in Zone 6 of the Sheriff's Department of the city, and she is in charge, Deputy Shackelford is in charge of this. So if you have any issues, you see anybody, you're not real sure, you don't think they should be here, please contact her. You know, call the Sheriff's Department. They may not be there in 5 or 10 minutes, but if you keep calling her, you know, it's telling, and it helps the sheriffs understand, you know, we've got to shore up this end of the valley. We've got an issue, you know, on that. Bob?
Having probably one of the most amazing arts institutions in the world just over the hill, is any effort being made to let them know what's going on?
Yes.
CalArts?
CalArts, yes.
COC.
Oh, really? Yes, is the short answer. Laemmle in particular is the obvious sort of connection, and with College of the Canyons as well. They have a good track record of doing outreach, and they have a program called Art in the Art House where they have displays of local artists. I think they're intending to do that here. Those types of, that type of programming. We have reached out to both schools. We were lucky enough to get together with the Chancellor of College of the Canyons at a meeting a couple of weeks ago. We have not been able to connect yet with powers that be at CalArts, but we have made that effort to outreach to them. And I think more importantly, you know, Laemmle is really good at integrating the student part of it into their operation, and has shown in the past in lots of other locations that they're committed to that.
I think the smaller seating theaters would be spot on for some of the films and art pieces that come out for viewing.
Absolutely,
From
yeah.
the CalArts School.
Yeah.
Or COC or Master's College, I don't, you know.
Yeah, as I understand it, COC has a program for a film program where
Yes,
they exhibit small format films like that, and
Right.
you know, so we just got to connect Greg and the Chancellor, and so they're fully intending to do that.
Yeah, I think CalArts, one of the alumni is up for an Oscar, am I right, Bob?
Yeah. Well, that might
One
help.
or two? Yeah. Yeah. They're producing another. Questions? More questions? No, you're awfully quiet.
Hi. I have a question about the actual theater, the structure of the theater. You said there's the many screens,
Mhm.
and there's a small lobby, you said?
Yeah.
Is there any intent to have art in the lobby, to have any kind of connections, any kind of maybe live performance or fine art that can somehow connect with if there's some kind of, I don't know, a themed film festival, that there could be music or original art that somehow connects with that? Is there space for that?
Yes, so just to orient you here, this is the ground floor, this is the lobby, and so what Laemmle has done in many of their other theaters is they publicly display art in the lobby and on the outside of the building.
Wonderful.
So where you might see like a poster case
Yeah.
on a regular theater, sometimes they'll do local artists to the extent that they want to be displayed publicly like that.
Mhm.
And then on top of it, you know, film festivals, of course, are a natural fit for this environment. We're contemplating having in the courtyard a projection up against the side of the garage, which would be kind of a public accessible film.
Yeah.
So we're trying to work that into the business plans for Laemmle and the mixed use project, kind of figure out how that all goes together. But yeah, the short answer is yes. You know, they're very committed and experienced with connecting with all types of artists in this situation.
Thank you.
Yeah, and talking specifically with Greg, that second floor programmatic space was one of the ideas that you just brought up would be a good use for that space.
Yeah.
Is that the outdoor courtyard?
It's on the second floor, right above the retail. So,
Right.
yeah. So this
For
is a couple
reception.
thousand feet for or any type of partnership that they wanted to have with a local arts group. We've talked to a few of them over our dealings of the last year or so up here, and they're very excited to do those types of things, and I'm certain that they will.
Any other questions, concerns? No? Goodness, you guys.
Yeah.
Very quiet group. Okay, at this time, if there isn't, then I will conclude this. We'll put the boards up so you can take
Good luck.
good look, up
Yeah.
close pictures. Talk to Jason on that. We will be hosting on February 3rd, another meeting. It will be on an alternate plan for this block. It will be led by Councilman Bordston on that, so you're cordially invited to attend. It will begin at 9. Serrano group and the Laemmle group will be there, so I honestly don't know anything about it, so that's about all I can say. But you are all invited to hear their proposal, and then when it all goes to council, you can raise all your questions at that point
On the
in
9th.
time. So our next meeting is February 3rd. Here it starts at 9. Be here at 8:30. Get your coffee. I promise we'll have a coffee maker that doesn't leak.
And if all goes well, the next hearing, we'll be back, and
Yeah.
we'll be doing semi-regular
Yeah.
presentations, so you can stay in the loop of what
Yeah,
we've got
yeah,
going.
yeah. All goes well. Every OTNA meeting we will have some
Update.
update from the Serrano Development Group,
Yeah.
which will be very exciting. Okay. Please sign in so that we can continue to contact you about the upcoming meetings on that. And with that, I will say thank you so very much for taking the time.